Hey, welcome back to Raven Stories. We've got an interesting story from r/relationships, a story that is quite surprising and, frankly, kind of funny. The title is, My Fiancé Got My Stepsister Pregnant, Then Mom Said, Forgive him. Let's get started. So I'm 28 female. My SO, who I'll call Adam, is also 28. We've been together for 10 years. 10 years. We finally got engaged, and we were planning on getting married in about a year and starting a family a few years after that. Everything was moving forward exactly the way it should. Then, Adam confesses everything. He's the father of my stepsister's baby. My stepsister Betty, who is 27. He says the first time it happened, he was drunk, and Betty took advantage of him. Okay, maybe I could hear him out on that. But he doesn't have an excuse for the handful of other times they slept together, over a 3-month period. So it wasn't a one-time mistake, it was a whole affair. Now here's the thing, I already knew Betty was pregnant. She'd told the whole family, and my mom, who is retired and bored and desperately wants a Duggar family's worth of grandchildren, had already guilt-tripped me into co-hosting the baby shower with my other stepsister Claire, who's 30. Betty told everyone the father was an ex-boyfriend who didn't want anything to do with her or the kid. She makes a ton of money. She'd be fine as a single mother, and my mom would help out since she's retired and has nothing but time. So nobody questioned it. Meanwhile, I'm over here killing myself trying to find the perfect floral arrangements for the tables at Betty's baby shower. I'm putting in all this effort trying to be sisterly, trying to be the bigger person, because I've always been the bigger person with Betty. And I guarantee you, if the roles were reversed, Betty would not put half as much effort or money into a baby shower for me, even though she makes way more than I do. Adam says the reason he confessed is because his own dad walked out on him and his mom when he was a toddler. So he wants to be a father to his child, but he still wants to be with me because he loves me. And it was a mistake. I told him to get the fuck out of my apartment. Thank God we don't live together right now. We've lived together before, but he moved in with his mom because she wasn't doing well. She's fine now, by the way. So apparently he used his newfound free time to sleep with my stepsister. He had been slowly bringing his stuff over to my apartment because he was supposed to officially move in within a month. So his crap is everywhere, which is just great. After I kicked him out, I called my mom. Not for advice, not for her opinion, just because she's my mother and I needed someone to listen to me cry. And that's when she told me. She already knew. Reddit, she already fucking knew. Apparently, Betty had told my mother in a fit of sadness over missing her deceased mother, who died when Betty was about 2. Betty told her who the real father was. And my mom, my stepfather, and Claire had all known. For months. Months. My own mother could not tell me that my fiancé fathered my stepsister's baby. No, instead, she guilt-tripped me into co-hosting the baby shower. Now, to be fair, I think she roped me into the shower before she found out Adam was the father, I think. But still, once she knew, she said nothing. Not a word. And her response when I confronted her? The general gist was, she wants us all to get along and be a family. It doesn't matter about the past, it just matters about the new life coming into the family. She knows I'm upset and hurt, but I need to work on my relationships with Adam, since we've been together 10 years, and I wouldn't want to throw that away over a mistake, and with Betty, since we're sisters and have been since we were kids. I need to figure out how to be the bigger person and put my feelings aside for the sake of the kid and the family. Be the bigger person. Story of my life. I've been the bigger person with Betty from the very first moment we were introduced. I was 10, she was 9, and she refused to give me back my favorite stuffed animal, Mrs. Snuffles. And even then, my mom felt bad for her, let her get away with being a brat, and Betty got to take Mrs. Snuffles home while I had to suck it up. She probably still has poor Mrs. Snuffles in some box in the attic, a trophy for her first of many victories over me. I hung up on my mother, and here I am posting on Reddit. I don't want to be Betty's kid's stepmother. I don't think I can forgive Adam. He knows what Betty's like. He knows how our relationship is. Hell, I don't even know if I can forgive my mom, and she's my mom. She was a great mother, one of my best friends. The only things wrong with her were her nasty habit of pitying Betty and letting her get away with murder, and her crappy knitting that she always gives as gifts. I just don't know how she can justify this betrayal. It wasn't me who screwed up 10 years of a relationship, or mine and Betty's supposed sisterly bond. It was them. I keep looking at a text from Claire, sent way too early in the morning, asking when I'm giving her my share of the $800 jogging stroller we're getting Betty, plus my share of the baby shower costs, which at this point are basically worth a crappy Craigslist car. I replied telling her to go fuck herself. And yeah, I know that's bad. We put all the expenses on Claire's credit cards, and she's in school working a crappy retail job, so I feel a little bad leaving her with over $3,000 in debt. But she can return the stroller, cancel stuff, sell what can't be returned. And my mom and stepdad will probably help with the rest. She knew about the affair and said nothing, so honestly, she can figure it out. Then, I mass texted all of our friends telling them Adam was a cheating bastard and Betty's baby daddy. We've been together so long that all of our friends are mutual. The only people I'm friends with who aren't also his friends are basically just acquaintances. Then, I turned my phone off. I swear to God, if any of them knew, or take his side, what if all of them knew? God. Now tomorrow my mom's out of the house for her weekly volunteering thing and I'm going over there. I have a key, but chances are my stepdad will be home and he'll just let me in and go back to watching TV. Great man, my stepfather. My stepsister's got a woman who tried to mother them without replacing their real mother, overcompensating like hell. I got a dude who occasionally nods at me and sometimes gives me a deal on rent when the family plays Monopoly. I've got stuff stored in the attic that I was keeping there until I had a house of my own. Plus, I want to find Mrs. Snuffles. And I'm going to raid my mom's jewelry box. Which sounds bad, I know. But I'll only be taking what's mine. My grandmother left her jewelry to me, skipped right over my mom, even though mom's an only child. I'd been letting mom borrow it because I felt bad. Figured I'd just get it back when she passed in like 40 years. Which I freely admit was stupid of me. Because I can already picture Betty whining that she didn't have any grandmother to leave her jewelry and that it isn't fair. And honestly, my grandma probably knew exactly what she was doing, leaving it to me instead of my mom. I wish she was alive right now. She'd tear my mom a new one. I don't know what I'm going to do with it all yet, but I want my jewelry just in case. I used to trust my mom not to give any of it away to Betty or Claire, but I also didn't think she'd betray me like this. So I'm getting it tomorrow. It's mine. She was borrowing it. I'm just deciding not to loan it to her anymore. All right, I'm going to go to bed and see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully I'll find all my jewelry, rescue Mrs. Snuffles, and wake up to messages from every single one of my friends saying they're never speaking to Adam again, they won't forgive me if I take him back, and none of them had any idea. And one more thing before I go to bed. I texted Betty. I told her I hope her baby is born with Down syndrome, which would be an interesting combination with the fetal alcohol syndrome. It's got a 90% chance of having, since she drinks more than her mother ever dreamed of drinking. Then, I followed that up with a text calling her a cunt. And then, another one that just said, whore. Now, her mom died in a car crash that she caused by drunk driving. And Betty is the type of person who has said more than once that people with disabilities like Down syndrome should just be killed because they have no use and are a drain on society. So I knew exactly where to hit. I feel kind of bad. Partly because those are shitty things to say to anyone, and I'm a better person than that. And partly because reading it back, I don't really think it's much of an insult. But what do I know? I've never been pregnant. Maybe it'll make her cry. And thanks to her, I'm probably not going to be pregnant anytime soon. I turned my phone off again, and to make sure I keep it off, I tossed it on top of the kitchen cupboards that I can't reach without a chair. And I'm for sure going to bed now. What the fuck do I do? All right, so that was the original post, but there's an update. About a month later, she comes back with this. So first, the day after my original post, I went to my mom's house. Nobody was home. I used my key. I grabbed my grandmother's jewelry and the boxes of stuff I had in the attic. I searched everywhere for Mrs. Snuffles, went through all of Betty's boxes, even Claire's boxes, just to be sure. I couldn't find her. I'm pretty sure their dog destroyed her years ago. I doubt Betty would have kept her all this time. And I may or may not have cut up all of Betty's photos I found while I was up there. Whoops, was that a photo of your mom? Well, I'm sure Claire has copies. And hey, you've got my mom now, so you'll be fine. No, I'm not proud of that. But much like Adam, I had a lapse in judgment. I lapsed so hard, I grabbed the kitchen scissors on my way up to the attic. A month later, I do feel pretty crappy about that. But the day after, I was still raw and pissed. When I got home, I finally checked my phone. There was a ton of messages from Mom, Claire, and Betty that I deleted without really reading. Even an hour afterwards, I couldn't have told you what they said. But I bet I could guess the general theme. The messages from my friends, though, those were really disappointing. Like I said, they were all mutual friends who've never known Adam and me separately. And most of the replies were just, "We care about you both." Only a couple said he was a bastard or anything close to it. And one person knew. Adam had told his best friend about a week before he told me. And to his credit, his best friend strongly encouraged him to come clean. I told her I was very sorry to hear that, and I wished her well. I'd call her every now and then, but I wasn't going to see her much or attend family gatherings, and any children of mine would never know my stepfamily. She said she was sorry to hear I was deciding that, and she hoped I'd forgive and forget eventually and not tear the family apart. I told her I was disappointed in her, but not particularly surprised, and Betty was the one who tore the family apart by sleeping with my fiancé. Then I said goodbye, put down my share of the bill, and left. I'll call her in a couple of months, but for now, she and my stepfamily are on their own ringtones, so I know not to answer. And if she insists on talking about Betty, Adam, or their baby during our calls, I just won't speak to her until she learns to stop. And yes, she did gently admonish me for what I texted Betty, but I shrugged and told her that by telling me I shouldn't have sent it, she's getting involved. So which is it, Mom? Do I regret texting Betty what I did? Sure, I was pissed and I'd finished off a bottle of wine, but frankly, she is what I called her. Now, as for Adam. He showed up a few days after the confession with pizza, ice cream, and flowers. I had his stuff sitting by the door, ready for him to grab and go, but he convinced me to talk. And this is where he dropped another bomb. He confessed that while I lost my virginity to him, he had lost his to Betty. A few weeks before he and I first slept together. That felt like he punched me in the face. I told him if I had known that, I would have dumped his ass right then. And I would have spent the remaining 9.5 years not being held back by him. He didn't want to leave our city. He didn't want to go on trips out of the country. He wouldn't let me get a cat because he's super allergic. He had this weird thing about nail polish, and I haven't painted my nails since we started dating seriously. 9.5 years of holding myself back for this man. He was apologetic, but said he loved me and wanted to work on things. I told him I was not going to be Betty's baby stepmother. I wanted to live a 100% Betty-free life. And if I were to take him back, he would have to have no contact with the woman he cheated on me with, which obviously isn't possible if he's the kid's dad. He said Betty told him after he confessed to me that there was actually a chance he wasn't the father, because of course she did. Classic Betty. I told him there was still a chance he was, and I wasn't going to risk it. Plus, that doesn't change the fact that he betrayed me at the beginning of our relationship and again last year. That's 2 times too many. He asked if we could still be friends, probably with the intent to win me back eventually. I told him I'd think about it. No chance in hell. So here's the good part. I talked to my dad. He lives across the country. We're on great terms even though I only saw him during summers growing up. I really like my stepmother on his side, but our relationship had always been a bit shadowed because, honestly, I was a dick and pushed her away to avoid hurting my mom's feelings, which is some kind of weird irony considering everything. My dad offered to pay to get me out of the rest of my lease and let me live in one of his rental houses for free if I want to move to his city. I'm going to do it. I've got a ton of savings to last me a while until I find a job. I never wanted to stay in our home city forever, and I think being 2,000 miles away from my mom and the rest of them will really help. I quit my job. I've spent the last few weeks relaxing, packing, planning, talking to a therapist, looking at cats up for adoption in my dad's city, and reaching out to the handful of friends I have there from. When I'd visit during the summers, hopefully someone will click and I'll have at least one good friend. Bought myself way too much nail polish. I got a manicure. And I spent a lot of money on a pair of boots I've wanted forever, but held off on because I was supposed to be saving for a wedding. I'm going to work on my relationship with my stepmother too. First thing I'm going to do when I see her is apologize for pushing her away all those years. So everything's going to be okay, I think. In her sign-off, she said, "Took Adam back, trying to talk Betty into naming the baby after me. Just kidding. I'm moving 2,000 miles away from them all and everything's probably going to be okay." Now let's see what the comments had to say about this one. One commenter absolutely nailed it. They said, OOP's mother doesn't take sides and doesn't like to get involved, but coincidentally she always seems to be on Betty's side. Wouldn't you know? Someone replied to that and said, not taking sides just means not taking your side. Because we know she's not saying all that when she's talking to her home-wrecking stepdaughter. Another person put it even simpler. They said, I don't want to get involved is not true while you're keeping secrets and making choices. And one comment that really stood out said, choosing not to take sides is choosing a side. The moment she found out and kept it from her daughter, she was involved. She lied by omission. She had knowledge that would break her daughter's heart. And she didn't care. Someone else pointed out something really interesting. They said, Adam was just another Mrs. Snuffles to Betty. Just another thing she could take from her stepsister to prove she could have whatever she wanted. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. That wraps up this one. I'm really glad she got out. Got her jewelry back, got away from all of them, and she's about to start a whole new chapter 2,000 miles away with a cat, painted nails, and new boots. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just leaving and building a better life without the people who never had your back. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.